is Wolf from Tesla Owners US, and today we're doing a complete review of the Roadster and how everything began. Basically it began with a movie or a documentary, Who Killed the Electric Car, and you guys have to watch it. This is a movie what everybody has to watch before they're driving electric. So that movie made me quite mad, and I had to do some conclusions from that, and that was about 2009 or 2008, 2009, before I ordered the Roadster. There were quite some thoughts, and that's what I want to share with you, and the whole story about the Roadster, how I got it, and what happened during that time, as well as the complete review of the Roadster and their functionality when you drive it. Alright, watch that movie, it's gonna be really interesting. And subscribe to the channel. Bye-bye.
I pressed insane. I went insane.
How did it start with electric cars with me and with the Roadster at all? It was actually that I saw the movie Who Killed the Electric Car, and I was pretty mad. And I tried to find any solution in order to drive electric. So the solution was that take away their market. Take away the market of the automotive industry, take away the tax income from the fuel tax, and take away the oil industry's market for selling oil or fuel and petroleum products. This includes all motor oils as well. And the only way is to come up with another electric car. And I found some companies who converted cars. And there was a nice car called Southern Sky or Pontiac Solstice. It was a two-seater. And there was a company in Ohio, and they converted those cars to electric with lithium polymer batteries, and they put them somewhere in the car for the right weight distribution, put two motors on the rear axle, and got about a range of 150 miles with the car. And then I said, this is pretty cool. And I bought, when I had a project in Valencia, and that is close to the San Bernardino Mountains on I-5 north of LA. And that was an aerospace company, and I bought there, instead of actually getting a rental car, I bought that Southern Sky, or I leased that Southern Sky. And the lease was then paid by a customer, which was very nice. So I drove that Southern Sky then to my karate training, which was in Santa Monica. And I went there to karate training, driving on 405, which was at that time, in 2009, already horrible. And so we were driving there, and then I saw and I heard about Tesla. And there was a shop there, and that was the first encounter in Santa Monica, at the Santa Monica Boulevard, very close to the highway. And that was I think at the east side of the highway. And I'm gonna show some pictures from that. So there is what the first time I met one of the salespeople from Tesla. It was Jeremy Schneider. He is now at the East Coast. He is big manager at the East Coast for Tesla. And I met him later again, and I come to that as well. But he showed me the car, and then I said, you know, this is pretty expensive. That's a $120,000 car. And there's a company in Ohio which converts cars to electric. And I have that Solstice, or that in Germany the car was called Opel GT, the new version of the Opel GT. I have that Southern Sky, and it can convert it to electric. And then he told me, that's not a real car, and this is a carbon fiber, all made in carbon fiber. Carbon fiber cars will be produced from Porsche, will be close to $500,000. at that time, and this is really a bargain for that one, but it was quite a steep price. So I went to that facility there, and it was the first encounter, and I think I went with my wife the second time there, and I still left my address there, my information of my business there, and from time to time they sent me letters and contacted me. And they contacted me and said, we have a great offer, and the great offer is that you can lease the Roadster, and then when the lease is over, you can get the Model S, and then you have a nice, from the ground up constructed Model S, and you can get that car at that point of time. And the Model S was just a prototype car at that time. And I said, this is a good idea. So I was thinking about that and look at my financials, and I had to do it. I had to drive somehow electric. And I had also a motorcycle. At the time I was driving pretty, it was a Kawasaki Ninja. I was driving pretty fast with the motorcycle, but at least it was not consuming a lot of fuel. It was 60 miles per gallon or so. It was not the high-powered Ninja, but was a pretty good size of the vehicle and pretty fast driving. And I drove too fast with that. And my wife one time said that, hey, I don't want you to drive motorcycle anymore. It's just way too dangerous here, and you have to look for something else. And I said, okay, I'm going to buy a Tesla. And she said, okay, but then the motorcycle has be gone. And I said, okay, let's look at that. And then I contact them back, and Alex Frank is the first guy who contacted me, and he had the first presentation of the car. And at the time I'm talking, I will also show some pictures there. Let me put the camera a little bit on the side here. It's better than I show the pictures on the right side. Yeah. So I have to look at the screen here a little bit. So he showed me the picture, and at that time in Arizona, and it's still today this way, and if you're not a really car dealer, you cannot sell cars, you cannot even give the prices out. There are a couple of states where car dealers have a lot of connection with politics, and the laws are being constructed this way that you have to buy a car through a car dealer and cannot buy it from a manufacturer. Basically what he did, he came to my home, and the car was almost fully charged, and this was a radiant red car with a beige interior, and he drove on my driveway, and then he drove into my garage, and the southern sky was just next to it. And I was looking, does the car fit in my garage and so on? Where do I put the charger? It was already looking pretty nice there. So, and we had a little introduction. We signed some papers for a test drive, and we drove around the block, and we were amazed about the car. And we signed up with the car, and we said, we're going to order the car. So I ordered the first time a really plain black car. So we really like black cars. In Arizona, it's pretty crazy to have black cars because they get really hot. But we really like black cars. And when we signed up for them, at the same time, the guys from Tesla, after that, they show you in every part, showed you and sent you pictures in every step of your manufacturing process. So it was originally the body parts manufacturing, which are all the carbon fiber parts of the body, and then the construction of the casing for that, and the assembly, and then the final assembly of the car. They showed you pictures basically where your car is, at what stage it was. And it was built in multiple factories in Great Britain. And at that point of time, then they showed also the final car and the final inspection. And then they showed also how the car has been shipped. And the car has been shipped, actually it was not a real car, it was a glider, because all of the interior of the drivetrain and the battery and the motor was out of the car. Only the remaining things at the glider and the car was approximately more than 1,000 pounds lighter. I think the whole car was maybe 1,200 pounds. Came on a 747 from London Heathrow to San Francisco on a bigger pallet, on an airplane pallet, and I'll show you some pictures there as well. And then went into a trailer, and from the trailer went picked up and then brought out in Menlo Park, where that was manufactured. And then after a while I didn't get any pictures anymore. I said, oh, it was about time that I should get some pictures of my car. But in the meantime, I changed my order, because I said, oh yeah, I would rather have a navigation system as well, and a screen with that one, and Alpine sound system with that, and so on, and also the rally interior. It was a black and yellow interior. So then I asked them, hey guys, and they gave me a VIN number already, and said, hey guys, show me some pictures of the car. And they said, oh yeah, soon, we're busy. And then they showed me some pictures and said, here's your car, here are the pictures. And then I said, oops, that's not my car. And they said, why is it not your car? I said, because I have the black and yellow interior, I have that radio system, I have that navigation screen, and navigation system. And I said, oops, we then made a mistake on the order. So I originally got assigned serial number 1172, but they had a black car on order with black interior, but not with the black and yellow seats. And then we came finally with my assistant guy there, and it was Ted Merendino, to an agreement that I will get the other car with a special interior, with the upgraded interior, and the upgraded sound system and navigation system, and we will swap the seats and the side panels later. So, and the first pictures of the car, and I show you a picture of my friend Paul as well, he was sitting in the car. The first pictures of the car were in black interior, all black. And now it's yellow and black, and you will see more pictures of that one as well. So, and then we were called for the pickup. So we flew over with Southwest. It was the easiest way, one way, from Phoenix to Oakland. Yes, I think we flew. Did we fly to Oakland? No, we fly San Jose. We flew to San Jose, and then from there we went to Menlo Park, and then we also had there a sightseeing at the site at 3500 Deer Creek Road in Palo Alto. It belongs to Palo Alto as well. And actually, let me do a screenshot of that one so that you can see where our Tesla headquarters is. I put it there in there as well. So we went to the headquarters there, and on the headquarters we saw the original aluminum body of the car, and with the drivetrain, the battery system, and the motor on that, and the power electronic module on top of that. We saw completed Roadsters in yellow and in other cars, and we saw also the Smart, because they produced the battery, drivetrain, and power equipment of the electric Smart, and it was the first deal what they made with Mercedes, where Mercedes still had 5% of that company. And they also produced the A-Class of Mercedes, and I tell you the story of A-Class of Mercedes later, because I wanted to have one of those cars, and they always declined that. They never made those, and they never could get those. This was actually a reason why I left Mercedes. Yeah, we saw some pictures. We saw the drivetrain in detail. We got a tour. We got a tour of the office, and at that time they said, "Oh, sorry about the mistake." And then I'm doing enterprise consulting, and I said, "Hey, guys, show me where the mistake occurred." And they said, yeah, we have a Salesforce system, and then we have an SAP system, and I'm an SAP guy. I said, okay, there's an interface between the configuration of Salesforce and SAP. Why didn't you build that interface there? Because if you correct the order in Salesforce, the interface goes up to SAP, and it will update the configuration of the car. So, and it was always hand entered, so they entered it in Salesforce, and then later someone entered it in SAP, and after my order changed, nobody entered that in SAP anymore, the change of that, and then they had to swap it. So they had to swap the cars. Then I got VIN number, instead of 1172, I get VIN number 1188. So that's how I came to 1188. And it was probably a lucky one, because 88 is in Chinese a lucky number, so it must be a lucky win. So we got there, and we saw also the battery compartment of the Smart, and we saw another battery compartment. I didn't know if that was the battery compartment of the Model S or if that was the battery compartment of the A-Class. So it could have been on the Model S as well. And I show you all of the pictures there. So then we were supposed to pick up our car. And we were there in the morning, and they give us a tour in Palo Alto in the headquarters. They give us a tour later in the facility where they're selling it. We did all of the contracts with. I had the car for a lease, right? So with all the lease agreements and the down payments and all of that and how being paid for that, we did all of that. And then they told us, your car is not ready. The PEM is pushing too much power to the motor, about 1000 amp to the motor, and it is too much for the motor. This will overload the motor, and we cannot reduce that, and there will be a delay. So we have to check the PEM. And they checked the PEM, and they checked the PEM, and we wanted to leave because we had a schedule, because we had to make it to the night, up to the night to San Luis Obispo, which is south of that, half the way to LA on the Pacific Coast Highway, PCH 101. So it got later and later and later, and it's already getting dark, and then they told us that, you know what, it's so sorry about that, there's this delay. And I said, hey guys, just switch the PEM. Take another PEM, put another PEM on it, switch the whole PEM and put another PEM on it, which at the end they finally did. And then they said, do you want to talk to our CEO? Because we apologize, but you can, if you like to talk, you can talk to our CEO, which one at that time was Elon Musk. And I said, no, I want to talk to your SAP guys, because the guys who messed up the interface for that one. So, and I went to I talked to the SAP director, and then later also to the CIO, who just was hired. Actually, he's no longer with Tesla anymore. Two guys from Indian descent, so that's what I could figure. And we talked about the interface and why they built it this way and why they missed that. And then I gave them my information and said, here's my information. If you guys need some help, I'm helping you for free. If you want to, you can build a real interface and the right stuff in order to get your orders not messed up in the future anymore. So I talked with him some SAP stuff during the time I was waiting. And then at the end, we finally made some pictures with Ted Merendino, and I have to, let me look up her name. Wait a second. Okay, I got it. She was a great sales director. Doreen Allen was her name. And later, we had a lot of conversation later also when we picked up our Model S, but she was one of the really cool, great sales guys. So I really admire what the capabilities were, because I was one time so mad, and she really all leveled that out. Later, she left the company. She's probably overworked, and because she had lots to do. She built up the whole distribution network with them for delivery, and she hired most of the people in the sales area and then the distribution area. All right, so then we picked up the car and we started our first day. Actually, it took us 4 days to get, and I didn't want to buy a car which I couldn't drive home. I wanted to pick up the car there. So, and it took us 4 days to drive the car home. The first day we drove and we drove to a dinner in Salinas, and that was at the Robobank 70 amp charger. Well, it was pretty good. It was colder there at the time. It was February 20th, and we charged there while we had dinner, and then we had enough charge and we could continue the ride at that time. So, and we arrived at a very nice hotel, the Apple, kind of an apple farm hotel, and it had everything around apples, and we had to leave in, we stayed there in San Luis Obispo. It is on the first day I drove the Roadster down to 3 miles on max range. So, and then I couldn't charge the car, and I drove around and I found the parking, and I couldn't find the charger. But what they gave me was also, they still had those old pedal chargers. I'm gonna have to show you some pictures of the pedal chargers. There is one in our neighborhood here, and those pedal chargers, they have an adapter for the pedal charger to my mobile charger, where I plugged in the 14-50, and then from there, from the mobile charger, back into the car. So instead of that, I charged there, and Ted told me later, this was my sales guy, he said, if you all have any problems, you call me. And it was 1:30 in the morning, and I called him, and he was very sleepy. And then he said, hey, I'm plugging in there, and every time the charging stopped. Every time I plug in, it does it, and then the charging stops. And there was a breaker, and the guys, I could only charge there with maximum of 32 amp. I think it was 32 or 28 amp. So, and I had it on 40 amp, so the breaker always flipped. So I called him at night and said, he said to me, oh, sorry, I forgot to tell you that, but you have to put your charge capabilities lower, and you're reducing the charge. And I think I reduced it to 32 amp, and then it was charging without failing. And that was good. And I had the car charged in the next morning. So when we're there, and show you some pictures of our hotel, it was a really great hotel in Central Valley, or close to the coastline in San Luis Obispo. Is a very nice location. So we stayed there, and we started our next day with a full charged car again. And we went down, we had some breakfast there, and I checked the car up, I packed everything in. You wouldn't believe, in that small trunk there, everything fit in the trunk. We had our baggage in the trunk for those 4 days. We had a charger, we had a mobile charger, we had an adapter within there. We had a little bit tools there as well, and everything fit in. And we both driving down there. So you can really live with less room. So then we went to the city there, and we looked through, and we drove down Pacific Coast Highway, and we had a little stop there in Santa Barbara. There was another charger there at the bank. We stopped there, 70 amp charger, one of the old Tesla connectors there. Charged there as well. We had lunch there during that time. And then at the end, we came to the location at the store where we have been before when I saw that. And Jeremy was then very happy to see me again, because finally I bought the car. And he was so nice then to bring us to the hotel. So he took his car, and we left the car overnight, charged at the Santa Monica Boulevard Service Center, and charged the car there overnight. Jeremy brought us to the hotel, and the next morning he picked us up again at the hotel and drove us to the service center again. And there in the service center we continue to took our tour on the next day. That was then already day number 3. And in day number 3, sure, and this time we had to go to some mountains, a little bit up and then a little bit down, at the end we stayed in a beautiful hotel. It was the La Quinta Resort Hotel, and I show you a whole bunch of pictures there. This resort hotel nowadays have about 8 Tesla chargers or more in the lower garage, and they're all lined up one after the next one. And they started early because Tesla had there some showings of the Roadster in order to sell the car. And I think the night was cheap, was $250. And we stayed there overnight, had a single house there in Adobe style. And I'll show you some pictures. Great cars there were as well, other fuel cars. And then the funny thing, I don't show that picture anymore here. I could not show that picture. But the funny thing was there were all golf carts as well, because there was a golf course attached to that as well. So there were golf car, Roadster, and then golf car. Now all those golf cars are still there. On the other area there, there's a whole bunch of Tesla chargers, I think 8 of them. We later visited the hotel again. And if you're going to that hotel, it's a great hotel, and you never have a problem not to get a charge, because there are 8 chargers and not even half of them were busy to charge there. Sure, there was a band playing at night, great band playing there. We had a really good time at night there. And we left then the next morning from that facility, and I show you a whole bunch of pictures for that as well. We stayed at night, and we went for dinner in Palm Springs, a little bit outside, looked in Palm Springs, and then the next morning we left from that facility with golf course. And yeah, I show you all around. I show you pictures from that facility there. I have even a picture with a golf cart. They drove you with that golf cart to the garage, and they picked you up from the garage there where your car is, or they drove the car to that garage and connected that. So yeah, recommended hotel. You always get a charge there, but not that cheap. So, and then we started day 4, and in day 4 we had another stop there. We drove the car probably 55 miles per hour, which is about 88 kilometers. And when we drove the car there, we had to be careful, and at the end, when we come closer to the destination, we could accelerate a little bit more, because it was the 245 miles were at the first cycles there is not the cycle anymore as of today. So it was probably coming close to the European cycle now, the 245 miles on a full charge, but this was really driving 55 and sometimes 60, because we really had to careful drive, and only at the end, when you're coming close to your destination, you can accelerate. Before that happened, I called there at the Quartzsite location, and that was an RV park where we had to stay about for 4 hours. And I said, hey guys, this is your recommended location there, and we are some friends from Tesla charged here before. Can I charge there? I said, oh, we have an RV power out. There are about 500,000 people in Quartzsite. And we said, what? And then there was one guy there, and he was a mechanic or a handyman for all things at that RV park, but he had an extra 450 amp outlet or 14-50 outlet. And we said, hey, this is the only outlet what we need. And I said, yeah, there's a small parking space next to it. I said, we have a small car, electric car, so we don't need much. So we parked the car there, and we charged it at the same time while we went to the RV park, to the RV show, and I looked around for a couple of hours on the RV show. And then after that, we went after the RV show, and then we went home. And we arrived at home, at the home location. And now what had to go? The motorcycle. And I'll show you some pictures of the motorcycle here as well, what had to go. But I had my Roadster, and it was really a great car for the Roadster. And we had it shown there at the driveway and next to the garage, and the other portion of the garage, actually, we already sold the Mercedes at that time, I think. And next to the garage was our second car, which was the car what we wanted to convert, but we never converted that. So I left the Saturn Sky to the original one. I never converted it to electric, because I called that company and said, hey guys, can you help me to convert that car? And said, yeah, we do the conversions. And said, okay, good. So I'm gonna bring it to you before Christmas. I drive it there to Ohio from here. So when can I pick it up again? I said, oh, we don't know. Well, couple of weeks later, or maybe. I said, no, I need an appointment, a date and time when I can pick it up again. I don't, cannot tell you right now. And I said, hey, this is the car what we're gonna use. We need some time. We need the time to pick it up. So, and then they said, and then asked them, hey, what generation of the motors you went through already? And they said, oh, we went through the 6th generation of the electric motors for the car. And I said, oops, that's not a good choice to convert that to electric. So I left it the way it was, and then later sold the car. So what happened after that? The Roadster, and I did a couple of modifications. What I will show you that why I did the modification. I do some modifications on the Roadster because of a reason. Actually, the first months when I had the Roadster, coming back from training on the first day, going south on 7th Street, and I'm driving in normal speed on the right lane, and all of a sudden I hear a crash from the back in the car. And what happened there is, and I'll show you the pictures for that as well, some of those big monster trucks, they didn't see the Roadster because it's so flat and so low. And he had also a whole bunch of equipment on his load area, but he didn't look at the right side. He was on the left side. He wanted to make a right turn, do a right lane change first. And then at that lane change, he hit my car in the rear. Oops, he hit my car in the rear left fender. So I'm gonna show you some pictures there, which then I had the first encounter with Raintree, and they guys wanted to have that car being repaired for, let's say, 6-8 weeks or so the repair would take, and I was not agreeing to that this takes that long. So I was then checking with them, and I said, hey guys, this cannot take that long. And they are getting money when the car is staying there just because the car is staying there. And then when they have time, whenever they have time and they have the parts. So, but I wanted to drive the car. So it was still drivable. It looked bad, but it was still drivable. I drove the car, and I talked to them again in the next week, and they still didn't do anything in regards to ordering parts and so on. And I said, okay, I have another company there. I'm gonna pick up the car. They're gonna pick up the car. Please release the car with them, and they're gonna do it. And it was a collision center in North Scottsdale, very close to them. So they picked up the car. They're doing a repair. They could do the repair of the carbon fiber piece of that. The bumper was anyway in plastic in the rear, and the carbon fiber lid, the trunk lid, was also in carbon fiber. We replaced that as well. And then the only thing would come out of that was that they did all of the body repairs for that one, but they could not repair the traction of the car or the alignments. The tire was uneven on the side and was bumpy also on one of the sides there. And you will see the picture there is that I had to then align in the rear as well, the car, and then I got new tires on it as well. My wife had the same accident with the same car in the same situation, driving on the right side of the road, young guy, big monster truck, changing lanes, not looking, running into the car in the rear left. And since that time, she really does not want to drive the car anymore. And I'm only driving the Roadster now. And yeah, that was a little critical, but I installed them the extra really bright LED lights on that in the back, so that it really, when a car brakes at least, it really shines in the night so that nobody will oversee me. And that's in installation what I did later on the car. And when we go through the whole car, I tell you piece by piece every installation for that. And also the yellow strips, what you see in the car, that is not standard. So in that case, and so I'll show you now some pictures of the car, is how do I get the yellow strips? So I liked the yellow interior, the black and yellow interior. So I called him and said, you know, you have those strips there, and they are in gray and white and in black, but they don't have them in yellow. So how can I get them in yellow? And he said, oh, that's not a problem. It was my sales guy. And Ted told me that, or the follow-on person of that told me that, hey, you know what, call our supplier. And here's our supplier. And they will give you the price for that, and they give you the right color, and they'll make the same design in your design. So I called them, and they made me the Tesla T and the logo on that on the side. And I even called them a couple of times more, because after the accident I had to replace these stripes again, and they matched the color again, and give me the stripes again. So I still have their address for them, and if I'm ever needing stripes for a Tesla, I think I'm going to contact them again. Yeah, and that was this portion. And now it's about time I show you a little bit more pictures. We were only Roadsters at the beginning, and I show you a whole bunch of pictures of Roadsters what Pete Gruber made. He's a really great photographer, and we had the first trip out with the Roadster to Cave Creek, and then out a little bit in the desert with the car. You couldn't drive that long, that far, but it was a nice drive with a whole bunch of Tesla owners, and only the Teslas were driving there. Roadster app and the Roadster headlights. So the app is a very similar app what you have with your Tesla today, and I show you a bunch of pictures of them. And this is OVMS, and there is Mark. He developed the app with the little box there in the car, which is today it's a 3G card, and it costs you a couple of dollars for the Roadster, and you can connect your Roadster there and see almost everything what you can see with your Model S of today. But it's a special app for that, and I think it's available for the iPhone or for a Google phone, and or Android it's called. And let me show you a little bit more of the pictures what I have with the LED lights. So, and there are a whole bunch of LED lights, but the lights of the original Roadster were in H4 were really not good. I changed them first to HID, and that was still not good enough for me because it still consumed too much power. So then I changed them to LED, and some of the lights I did an extension for that because the lights had an extra motor in the back in order to do the cooling for the lights, and this motor did not fit exactly back in there, so it was too tight, so I had to do an extension for the lights. I'll show you a bunch of pictures, all from a guy also in a green Roadster at the East Coast. I made him these lights, and so he sent the lights to me. He installed them. I sent in exchange my lights, and I put some lights in there, and I put also the LED lights in the lights itself. So there's a company in town, Inspired LED. I get a very bright LED lights in there. So, and I drilled holes in there and then attached the LED lights. Maybe I should also attach a movie for that I will do that as well. And I did the same with my lights. Actually, that's how I started with that. And so there are no LED lights, and I did an additional thing. The Roadster sometimes has fogging, and I measured, there is a heat pad on the reverse side there, and I measured what the temperature is of that heat pad and how much temperature that is bringing. But I have extra heat pads for those ones because sometimes they go damaged or they are not providing a nice distributed heat for the lights so that the condensation goes out of that. In Arizona, it's really not as of a problem, but more at the more moisture areas in the country, that's a problem. So what I did is I had reverse engineered that patch there, and that patch was installed actually after the fact. The original lights didn't have that, and they had to repair it later on, and then they installed those heat patches there. And now when I'm getting some lights back, sometimes I upcycle lights. So for people who like that, this is a personal favor for Roadster LED lights. What I do, I don't make any money with that, but I help them to get better lights. So I changed all of my lights with LED lights, and then I always put a patch in there. I show that as well as the pictures there. And the patch are keeping the moistures out of the light there. And you see the lights here, but I can show you. I also installed daylight running lights. They are attached to the regular standing parking lights. So the parking lights I exchanged with LEDs. So I had enough power to even power LED daylight running lights with that, because that's about the same power consumption. You always have to watch the power consumption so that you're not burning any wires in your car. But the power consumption was about the same as the incandescent lights with the LED lights exchanged and the daylight running lights. So daylight running lights are installed there as well so that people can better see you. Yeah, these are all of the updates, and there are a couple of updates more. I updated also the rims, and I'll show you the rims of the car. These are actually 1 inch bigger in the front, 1 inch bigger in the back. They are adjusted to the car and they are measured to the car. They are wider in the front, they are 225 in the front, and they are a little bit rubbing on the interior wheel well, actually because I had originally the felt wheel well, and this always got wet and bad, and then I exchanged that with the original plastic wheel well, and then it became too loud, and I would like to have it not as loud, so I put Dynomat inside there, and now that wheel is scrubbing a little bit when you have it all the way turned in on that Dynomat, but that's okay. And yeah, we installed some really nice 20-25% lighter and bigger wheels in the front and in the back. In the back are now 235s, I think, in the back, or 245s in the back, and 215 or 225 in the front. I give you the exact measures. I gotta look it up again. Give you the exact measures, and they are being installed from a company here in town. We measured it all out. We will still sell them if you guys are interested in them. They don't have for Europe required generic license that they have been tested in Europe. So this is on your own risk to install them. But I have them installed since 3 years and nothing happened with them. They are very durable and nice lights. You will see it from the pictures there. And they are in satin black. Yeah. Alright. So we'll see you on the second part. Alright, this was the original story of how did I get the Roadster. Okay, subscribe to this channel, thumbs up, and if you need to buy a Tesla Model S, Model X, Model 3, please use my referral and support this channel, because I have to cut that movie, I have to do all of the things with it, and this is quite a piece of work. Alright, hey, thank you very much, and see you next time. Bye-bye.
I pressed and say, I went and said.